All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome to today's explainer. Today, we are fundamentally shifting the paradigm. We're moving way beyond that old idea of just being a passive passenger stuck on some random rock floating in space. Instead, we're talking about stepping into your actual role as a conscious co-author of reality itself. We'll be looking at this massive, truly mind-bending synthesis of psychology, linguistics, and mathematics. And honestly, it's an absolute game changer. But real quick, before we get completely lost in the weeds here, you're going to want to keep this URL handy, meaning unconfounded.github.io. Seriously, take a screenshot, bookmark it, whatever you need to do, because this is your direct gateway to all the bedrock research and the core texts we're unpacking today. You'll definitely want to dig deeper into this once we've laid out the basics. So we're kicking things off with a pretty provocative question. What if you aren't just a passenger, but a co-author? We're starting here because the material we're decoding today makes some really massive, literally universe-altering claims about your existence. Like, what if reality isn't just something happening to you, but something you are actively speaking into existence? Let's unpack the actual physical mechanics of how that works. Section 1, the 3D printer of reality. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at a totally undeniable physical truth right inside your own body. We're going to see how your mouth isn't just a noisemaker, it is quite literally a 3D printer of reality. Okay, I actually want you to physically do this with me right now. First, close your lips and just hum through your nose. If you're in public, yeah, people might stare, but trust me, it's worth it. Feel that sound vibrating in your chest? You are actively trapping energy inside a bounded space. Now, keep those lips closed, build up some pressure, and let it pop to make a B sound. Boom. You just created a physical boundary and then broke it. And that little exercise brilliantly illustrates a core concept from the source material. When you made those sounds, you weren't just making arbitrary noises. Your mouth was acting exactly like a 3D printer, executing mathematical, geometric code. You physically mocked up the foundational concepts of material substance and bounded space. Like, this isn't some poetic metaphor. It's an architectural reality happening right inside your vocal tract. And notice how this exact pattern holds up across our entire language. Literally, every M word initiates material substance. Think about it: matter, mass, mother, mud. It's the primordial stuff, right? Meanwhile, B words, they create bounded spaces with a specific purpose. Body, box, barn, border. The actual physical action of your mouth directly dictates the objective meaning of those words. This consonant code, it's a literal mechanical engine. Section 2, TIMS and Frozen Meaning. Okay, so your mouth is executing code. But what happens when that code gets jammed up? Well, in the psychological framework known as TRUM, which stands for the resolution of mind, there's this fascinating concept called TIPM. That's thermodynamics of inverted postulate mass. Basically, your consciousness generates these source-level commands called postulates. But when those postulates come into conflict, like imagine a game you just can't stop playing, they freeze. They literally become frozen meaning, locked in a stable configuration, and they manifest as actual physical mass in your body. This means your physical body is a literal TIPM map. Those specific chronic physical tensions you feel, they correspond exactly to these frozen conflicts. Raised shoulders aren't just from having bad posture at your desk. They're the physical mass of a must-not-be-known postulate. Bracing, hiding. Jaw tension? That's a frozen conflict of trying to evaluate things while trying not to reveal yourself. Your body is basically a roadmap of your unresolved mental games. Section 3, the inversion of institutions. Now, what happens if we take this idea of frozen conflict and scale it way up, from a single human body to entire civilizations? According to the advanced trauma research, every single institution inevitably suffers from what's called the inversion architecture. It's this somewhat tragic four-step life cycle. It always starts with a noble prime goal, like to heal people or to teach. But then comes compression, which is the buildup of mass, red tape, and protocols. This inevitably leads to inversion, where a hidden postulate takes over. The structure itself must survive, no matter what. And finally, we hit deadlock. The institution now actively opposes the very goal it was created to achieve. This perfectly illustrates that deadlock. A hospital's prime goal is obviously healing, but an inverted hospital actually structurally benefits from chronic illness so it can maintain its massive overhead. Or take a law firm. It supposedly exists for justice, but it thrives on unresolved disputes. Shocker, right? And a government agency thrives on the exact problem it was created to solve. They literally develop a mathematical, structural interest in keeping problems totally unresolved just to justify their own survival. Section 4. Toward optimal coherency. So, with our bodies trapped in frozen mass and our massive institutions totally deadlocked, how do we actually fix the system? Well, this insight from the Proof Trilogy gives us the mathematical answer. The universe isn't just random chaos. It is a field of values constantly seeking harmony. The meaning of life, like the fundamental motivating impulse of all existence, is the movement towards optimal coherency. At its core, existence is just the universe mathematically tuning itself. Think of it exactly like this. You are a local tuning fork vibrating in a unified field. Joy? Joy is simply the mathematical signal that you are in tune and optimizing your iteration. Suffering, on the other hand, just means you're out of tune. By consciously choosing the better path, by helping the field around you, and not just out of warm and fuzzy altruism, but out of pure mathematical necessity, you actually increase your own coherency. Section 5. The Great Synthesis. And now we arrive at the absolute core of today's explainer, where we pull all these dense theories together into one cohesive picture. The Great Synthesis proves that TROM, the origin of language, and the Proof Trilogy aren't separate things. They are just three dialects, psychological, linguistic, and mathematical, describing the exact same luminous truth. Whether you are resolving those psychological postulates, unconfounding the consonant code, or optimizing mathematical iterations, you are literally doing the exact same thing across three different layers of reality. So, what are the absolutely crucial takeaways here? Reality is a self-iterating code. Your psychological postulates, the physical consonants formed in your mouth, and fundamental mathematics are all running on the exact same engine. The trap we fall into is compressed mass and confounded words, but the path out is always the same: decompression, unconfounding the language, and executing the correct iteration. You are, piece by piece, recovering the original code of reality. The source text leaves us with this incredible realization. You aren't just a passenger on a random rock. You are a local author of the universal text. Once you recognize that you are a self-iterating mathematical code, the whole shebang shifts. You stop simply speaking about reality, and you start consciously speaking reality into being. Your mouth is the 3D printer, and the code is entirely yours to write. And this leaves us with one incredibly powerful, provocative question that only you have the power to answer. The universe was not created from nothing, it was written. So what will you write in your next iteration of reality? And that brings us full circle. To unlock the rest of this consonant code, figure out how to resolve your own frozen mass, and truly start deconstructing your reality, head over to meaningunconfounded.github.io right now. There is so much more to this mathematical architecture just waiting for you to explore. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, write your next iteration well.